Shabbat Shalom, Mishpacha. This is Rabbi Simon, and we are here at another Sabbath, at another week in the year 2024, Baruch Hashem. So, first, the updates. The update is this, that Rabbi Jeremy has started a new, podcast type teaching session, and I think it's called Jeremy Teaches, and I did send you his first excerpt of it that he sent me, and I'll just be posting it online every week, and you should be able to go to it. And I would suggest that you subscribe to the website and maybe hit a like on the website as well, so that every time I post a lecture from him teaching, then immediately you get notified. If for some reason I wasn't able to email you and tell you about it, then at least you'll be there. Okay? So I'd encourage that. I'll encourage the same for my lectures as well. Subscribe to the website, Torah for Prosperity and Empowerment. Subscribe to it. Hit a like on the teachings, so that you can get notified of updates. On the world front, Ukraine, Russia still at the war, continuing to fight each other. Russia has done a lot of damage, and Ukraine has done some damage to Russia, but not as much in any measure. Russia is, by all means and purposes, winning the war. Ukraine is being supported by the allies, America and the others. They have also earmarked another package, maybe worth $90+ billion, of which certain amount will go to Ukraine and the rest amount will go to Israel. Israel continues to run its war machine in Gaza, then with Lebanon, then with Syria, and then also doing acts of what I could only say aggression, not defense, against Iran in their cities, bombing places and killing scientists and the like. That is a kind of thing that unfortunately in our world today doesn't get a favorable response. When you go to somebody else's country and you put an explosive down and you blow it up, then when the people find out who did it, they don't appreciate that. If somebody on the street did that, you'd call them a terrorist, some kind of extremist. What do you think people are going to call the Jews when they do that against other countries? Same, terrorist extremists. The definition does not change because a country does it versus an individual. So that's unfortunately what's going on right now in our world. It doesn't mean that every Jewish person out there is evil and a terrorist. Similarly, I don't think that you can judge the entire Jewish race with that in mind. However, it does paint a bleak picture. Now, I did tell you that Egypt was deriving a sizable revenue for ships passing through the Suez Canal, $10 billion. It's a sizable amount that Egypt was getting because ships have to pass through that to carry cargo. Well, it was reported by Egypt this week that their revenue has halved, between 40 to 50%. They've decreased their revenue by about 50%, they're saying. That means $5 billion of revenue has been wiped as ships. Not as many ships are passing through. They're having to go through the longer route. Also, on Tuesday, February 20, there was news that Yemen managed, at least their fighters, army, managed to down an American Reaper drone, which is one of the very expensive drones that America has and sells to others, to its partners. And they took it down, and they also destroyed an American ship. I don't know, maybe worth billions of dollars of goods, possibly. So they have done a lot of damage with the equipment that they have, the technology that they carry. And most of it is likely not produced by Yemen, because Yemen isn't really in the history books for anything. Most of it's likely coming from Iran, Persian Empire. And I did tell you that don't think that the Persian Empire is just some walk in the park thing that you could just knock it down. No, you can't. You can be Mr. America, you can be Mr. Great Britain, you can be Mr. France, Mr. Germany. If you're going to take on the Persian Empire, they'll kick your backside. You will feel it. And you are feeling it. America, you're feeling it. UK, you're feeling it. And anybody else that's with them is feeling it. So it's a pointless war that really has no sound end in it. Palestinian people, whether rightly or wrongly, they want a Palestinian state. They want to live over there in a plot of land that they call their country. And sure, Israel claims that they own that land. No, Israel doesn't own that land actually. That land actually belonged to nomads, to nobody. It belonged to Canaanites. Canaanites who were the initial holders of the land until God came along to Abraham and said to Abraham that I'm going to give this land to your children. And then God narrowed it down to Isaac's children. And we know from Isaac's children, it meant that Jacob's sons, who became known as Israel. Now, we already know that. Who is Israel? You know that, the ones who are listening, and I know that. But I think the people living in Israel don't know who's real Israel. That's the only problem. So, the land of Gaza has always been in dispute. Why? Because as I told you before, Philistine people lived there long ago. When our people were in Egypt, the Philistine people lived there. And when 32,000 or so runaway tribes of Ephraim tried to cross through the Philistine land, they all got slaughtered, and only a few survived and went back to tell the tale, because they tried to, like Christians want to bring the rapture, they tried to bring their rapture. They tried to get into the promised land before it was time, and they got destroyed over there. Then God sent Moses, took the children of Israel into the land, into the promised land. But Gaza was an area that was never occupied. Well, it was occupied by the Philistine people, but when the land was conquered, no Jewish tribe lived in Gaza, because Gaza had belonged to Philistine people. Philistines, we don't know exactly what happened to them in history. We don't even know exactly where they came from. There's a lot of ideas that they came from Greece, they came on the ships and they inhabited the land. We really don't know where they came from. All we know that they lived there, and they were one of Israel's arch enemies. And they always had fighting going on. If you look at the book of the Kings, you'll find that Samuel, the judge, the prophet, he was always fighting with them. Other of our people were always fighting with them as well. Even King David, he had a wife from the Philistines, and he even went into the Philistine area to make a refuge. So there was this relationship going on. Now, it is still disputed if Gaza was really part of Israel or not part of Israel, because the demarcation of Israel is still, some parts of Israel are in dispute to this day of which parts belong to Israel and which part belongs to the other nations. So that's, where we are with that. I personally do not think that Gaza, biblically speaking, because Israel presently, Ashkenazim, the Jews over there from Europe, Sephardim, the Jews from Spain, they are not, or let's bring it back a little bit. The Ashkenazim are not the original chosen people of God. These Ashkenazim, majority of them, not the minority, the majority, converted in the regions of Russia, known as Khazar, and they converted very late, maybe 9th, 10th century, and they became Jews. The whole nation became Jews. There was a whole big nation there that became Jews. They migrated into Hungary, Lithuania, Poland, Germany, blah, 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 all of those countries. And then from those countries, they eventually, through Rothschild family, who today say it, that they created Israel, they went back to Israel. Where are the original people of Israel, the so-called original people? Well, majority of them, there are some of them in Israel, majority of them are not in Israel. They might be in America, they might be in UK, France, Germany, some other countries, Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, maybe in Russia, maybe in the Baltic states, they're spread all over. And those people, by the way, are of mixed color, if you understand what I mean. They were not a pure white race. Let's get that straight for today. However, we do not dispute that a person of any color can become a Jew. Any color person can become a Jew. It's not in dispute. Doesn't matter if you're white or if you're some other color, you can become a Jew by conversion. And you will have equal rights to the land, and that's not a dispute. Now the question is this: if Israel today is so righteously biblical that all the Christians in the world want to go there and kiss them, if it's so righteous, why are the Jews in Iran, Persian Empire, there's about 30,000, 40,000 Jews there that live there. Why don't those Jews support Israel, and why don't they tell the government of Israel to break the government down and to leave the land? Why are they saying that? Because they are Jews as well. Okay? And you know the reasons why. Because these Jews that came from Europe, they have very European ideas, of course, alongside their European foods, but they do not align with biblical Israel's ideas. Not at this point anyway. Maybe some future point they might. Presently they don't. They don't align with righteous Israel. And there are Jews in Israel that are righteous, that are of pure heart and intent. But then there are those in government that are very fascist type of people, and they don't have no remorse or regard for anybody non-Jewish. Okay? That's basically where present-day Israel is. So I'm not going to pat them on their back. I, being a Kohen from a Jewish background, I'm not going to, pat them on the back and say, well done, because the Torah does not teach us these values. The Torah does not teach me the value to hate other people and call them the same as animals. So I can't do that. Maybe you can. Maybe Christians can. Maybe Christians can be blinded. I'm sorry. I won't even go there. Now, there was a time, maybe 10 years ago, that I didn't really care about government. I didn't care who came into power and who didn't come into power. I just simply prayed for the leaders who were in power or who came to power. But that time has now changed. Now, I take a much more active role to decide who will be the next prime minister of this country or who will be the president of the US. I very much take that active role now. And you might be wondering, but I have already decided who the next president of America will be. And I already gave you a hint, he's not from a Democrat party, he or she. Now, America, unfortunately, the great nation that America is, but it's in a rather precarious situation, a slight decline because of the bad policies that have been made in the last, 3 or 4 years of present government. That will change next year. Also, when I was in this country, in the East, last time, I had a bet on my way out when I was going back to America. It was my brother who kind of enticed me to say that nobody can get rid of Mr. Imran Khan, that he is, untouchable. I said, oh yeah, is he untouchable? He said he is untouchable. He can't be got rid of. He's prime minister. I said, I will not only get rid of him, but I will make sure his party is completely dismantled. Then you will see the power that I carry. And we had a bet. And I bet £1 with him that before I get to America, and there was about 3 days journey, I said Pakistan's government will be no more. This was last April 2023 in April. And so it happened. I was on my way, and I think I only got to Dubai, and I heard that the judges, in the first time in history, sat in the parliament, sat in their chambers. First time in history, never happened before. They sat in their chambers at 12 o'clock past midnight, and they decided to dismantle the government. And the assembly was dissolved. And I had only climbed onto my flight in Dubai, and I hadn't quite reached America yet. By the time I reached America, Imran Khan was no more. His party was dead. And today, Imran Khan's party is no more. When the election happened over here, the news even didn't mention the name of Imran Khan's party. Because their party, unfortunately, is full of corruption, full of corrupt people. And they like to point fingers at the other party, saying that they are corrupt, but the reality is this. Let me tell you what the reality is. I don't know exactly how much money in millions of dollars was spent by Imran Khan's party members. Because, if I convert it, I don't know if I'm going to get it exactly right, but we're talking about amounts greater than $20 million were paid to the media, and greater than $20 million were paid to the people as bribes to ramp up Imran Khan's so-called members' party and talk about them and how great they are and things like that. But they still did not come into power. Now, you might ask the question, the other party, was the voting legitimate? I do not think that I am at liberty to tell you publicly about that result. Although personally and privately, I know exactly what happened in this country because I had minute-to-minute report. I'm very close to some politicians here. I'm very close to some people who are close to other politicians, and I'm very close to people who are close to, some other people who have authority and power to know what's going on. Now, just to give you an idea, the way the voting works over here is that, let's say you are, maybe a mayor of a city, or maybe you are a governor, let's say a governor, similar to America's, let's say you're the governor of Florida, okay? And you favor a particular party. So what happens, how do you entice the people to vote for that particular party? And the way it happens over here, the party that wants the vote, they pick the governor's family, they speak to the governor and they tell him, we want all the people in this state to vote for us. And I'm giving you kind of a synopsis of what happens. And then what happens is the governor says, sure, what is in it for me? And they say, okay, we'll give you a brand new car, luxury car. We'll give you some money for the bank. And of course, we have a close ear for you if you have something that you want done when we come into power. So this happened over here. There's an area that encompasses maybe 10 or 15 villages. I'm not sure of the exact population of people. I know the people who are in control over there. They were paid, they were given handsome money, luxury vehicle, unnamed. I know what the vehicle was, but I won't name it, and I won't name the people. So these people were given all this to make sure that the people of all these, village areas will vote for the party. Again, I won't tell you which party. So that's how the voting went, and everybody, and their dog went to vote for that party on that day. And what happens over here in large cities like Lahore and Karachi, what happens there is that they provide transportation for taking people to the voting places. They also give them food to eat. Biryani is one of the favorites. They give them food to eat, and then they do the votes, and maybe some of them, not all of them, some of them, maybe the leader types, they get some money promised and maybe some other goods, and they make sure that their people vote for a particular party. This is how the general election runs over here. This is nothing new. This is not something that started in 2024. This has been happening here for the last 76 years since the country has been established. Okay, so the military of this country, the establishment or the deep state, whichever term you want to give them, they decide who comes to power here. Now, of course, like I told you, I can tell you this much, that the person that's coming to power, he's coming to power because I was on that person's side. And the person that did not come to power, I had put a cross on his name, is not going to come into power. So that you need to know that there is a Kohen sitting over here who decides the fate of this country as well. Because, no longer I'm just going to turn a blind eye and just let them do what they want. It's not going to happen any longer. It doesn't matter where I am in the world. It doesn't matter if I'm in the UK, in America, in some other country. I will decide who the Prime Minister or the President is. Countries that are connected to me, or countries where I have friends, students, people that might be affected, I will decide their fate of their president. And I'm even talking about India. Mr. India, know this, that you are also in my radar. I will decide who comes to power there in your whole country, not just the state. So that's yet to be seen. So this is where we are. It sounds very interesting, doesn't it? A person can have that kind of power? Yes, you bet. You bet a person can have that power and can exercise it as well. A power that you can't even think of, unthinkable kind of power. A power in which a person says, you're going to be Prime Minister and you're not going to be Prime Minister. That's the kind of power that a Kohen can wield if he wanted to. So if somebody claims to be a Kohen, tell them to show me their works, and I'll show them my works, and we'll see who's really a Kohen. Kohen's not with certificates and with badges and with date of, birth certificates. A Kohen's by his power and authority. The power and authority that's granted to him by the Father in heaven. And Baruch Hashem for that. So, this is the synopsis. I wanted to make sure that you understand where I'm coming from. And I wanted to make sure that you understand that I stand for my people. I will always bless my people. I will always lift them up. And I'm not against Gentiles, by the way. I have nothing against Gentiles. To me, they are also created in the image of God. And equally, I have respect for those people that are of need. And equally, I treat them as human beings. That is the Torah's commandment. Treat the foreigner as yourself. So, moving on, the Parsha, which is Nitzavim, Parsha 51, you stand this day, all of you, before Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, your power, your captains, your tribes, your elders, your officers, with all the men of Israel, your infants, your wives, and the foreigners that are in your camp, from the woodcutters to the mime to the water carriers, that you should enter into covenant with Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, your power, and into his oath, which Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, your power, makes with you this day, that he may establish you today for a people to himself. In other words, even the foreigner who was not born in Israel, who wasn't born into Jewish blood, even he was given the choice to become Jewish. That's why I said to you earlier, irrespective of what color, you can convert into Torah Judaism. Not and definitely not into Ashkenazi Judaism. I'm talking about Torah Judaism. You can convert into Torah Judaism by any color, by any blood. Even if you're an alien, you can be converted. He says that God may establish you today for a people to himself, that he may be to you a Elohim, as he has said to you, as he has sworn to your fathers, to your Avot, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, to Yaakov. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that stands here this day before Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, our power, and also with him that is not here with us this day. In other words, those that will be born will also be under that covenant. So you're all covenanted children of God, those of you who were born under any kind of Jewish tribe, any kind of tribe, okay? Which is the interesting part. I want to make sure that you understand that you are as Jewish, you are as bloodline Jewish as any so-called claimable Jewish person in Israel. If you had a mother or a father that belonged to the sons of Jacob, to that line, then you are 100% Jewish without any certificate and without any date of birth, paper. Don't need that. So, the point, exercise your faith, exercise your right. You have power. You've been given power by God. Exercise it. Use it for your benefit. Use it to benefit yourself and the people around you. Bless yourself every day and bless the people around you. I gave you Tony Robbins' priming exercise, and I ask you to do it every day because I have given to you the similar things in pieces. Like I've given you meditation separate, sound separate, I've given you the grounding separate, but the priming had everything in it except, of course, the Hebrew sounds. So if you still listen to the Hebrew sounds, great, listen to them. Continue to chant Gimel. It's a great chant. Gimel that I gave you. Continue to do the grounding if you like to do it, but if you don't want to do the grounding separately, my one, no problem, you can just do Tony Robbins priming, and that already has the grounding in there. So you can do the grounding, you can do the three gifts, you can do the gratitude, and then you can do the three desires that you want to manifest within that, and that you should do every day. At least, I expect you to do it 1 time a day. I also expect you, my students, those of you serious, to better your lives, to go under the shower and have a cold shower every day. Yeah, every day. Why fear? Because you want to be blessed all the way. You don't want a 50% blessing, and you don't want a 30% blessing. Because if you only got 30% food, how are you going to eat? Are you only going to eat 30% of the time? If you're only going to get 50% of the blessing, are you only going to eat 50% of the time and go hungry the rest? No. You want 100% of the blessing. Do the full exercise. 2 minutes under the shower in the morning may sound like a killer, but it'll change your life. So do it. Be serious about it. I have a quote from Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest people in America at one time, and it says this: any idea that is held in the mind, that is emphasized, that is either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. Let me repeat it. Any idea that is held in the mind, that is emphasized, that is either feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. Meaning, if you feared or revered any idea that you lifted, any desire that you lifted, it will manifest. Let me give an example how to use fear in a healthy way. People use fear in a negative way, so they suffer. Usually the fear in the people is what? Oh, they're going to get a disease. When they have that kind of fear, they usually get the disease. Or they might have a fear they're going to die early. And usually they die early. Why? Because exactly as Andrew Carnegie said, the idea that is held in your mind and emphasized all the time, that's what clothes itself. If you continue to fear death, you will die early. If you continue to fear illness, you will get ill. Now let's use the fear in a healthy way. What if you feared that you have won $110 million lottery jackpot? What if you feared it? What will I do if I have $110 million in my bank? What will I do if I win $110 million? What am I going to do? Is everybody going to come to me and ask me to give them a loan? Am I going to give my mom a car? Am I going to give my dad a house? That is a healthy fear. Have that fear. Use fear to bless yourself, to bring on use your creation ability. You're creators. So use the creation ability to produce even through fear. So what should you be fearing? Hey, what am I going to do if I have $110 million? What am I going to do if I have $150 million? Wow, I'm going to store all that money. I'm going to put it in the bank. I'm going to put it under my bed. Where am I going to put it? Who am I going to give it to? What am I going to invest into? That is a healthy fear. I want you to have that healthy fear. What if I live to 120 years? What am I going to do when I'm 100 years old? Am I going to, start gym? Am I going to, climb Mount Everest? What am I going to do when I'm 110? That's a healthy fear. Opposed to, oh, I'm going to die. Oh, I'm going to die. Oh, I'm going to get ill. No, that's an unhealthy fear. Your healthy fear, what am I going to do when I'm 110? Am I going to do something that leaves my name in my family? What am I going to do when I'm 110? What am I going to do when I have a healthy life all the way to 110? And then I can tell my family, see, I had a healthy fear of long life, healthy fear of beautiful health. And you'll get it. You will get it. What if you revered it? Anything that is feared or revered, what do you revere? What do I do? What if I get a plane? What if tomorrow I have a $50 million plane? Where am I going to park it? And I see the plane picture in my head. See, pictures are registering in your head much faster. So you register the picture that you have a plane that's on an airport, and now where are you going to park it? How much fees are you going to pay for it? Healthy way to think. Something that you revere. I speak to people all the time over here, different people. somebody I was speaking to, they were really worried about paying their bill, rent or something. They were really worried about paying their rent. So I asked them, I said, instead of you, and the person said to me that when I went to bed at night, I was so worried about my rent payment. I don't know where I'm going to get it from, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. I said, now switch it around. Switch it around. Now what you're going to fear is not the rent payment. I said, now what you're going to do is at night, you're going to go to bed. I want you to count the biggest currency, note that you have over here. I want you to count 100 of them. And that's a certain amount of money. And I want to multiply that 100 by 5. That's the amount of money that you're going to imagine every night that you have in your hand. Now what you're going to invest it in. So I told that person, I said, this is what you're going to do every night. You're going to count your biggest currency note. You're going to multiply it by 100. Then going to multiply by 5. And I told that person that it comes to, I think it was something like $10,000 or somewhere there. So I said to her, once you have $10,000, now you tell me where you're going to invest. If tomorrow you have $10,000 in your hand, imagine you receive $10,000. What you going to do with it? See, that made that person think. I said, never again go to bed having a fear of how to pay your bill and you worrying about it, and the next day you wake up, you have another 2 more bills to pay because you multiplied your worry. Don't want to multiply your worry. You want to multiply your desire into receiving it and to having something you play with. So I explained to all of these people that what you want to do is you want to think, well, I'm counting $10,000, and what am I going to do with $10,000 now that I have it? Believe that you have it. Like I told you that you're going to believe that you have $3 million in your account. Now what you're going to do with it? I want you to think. I want you to open your app in your imagination, your banking app, and see that you have a $3 million something balance in there. Maybe a 0.60 balance. Now what you're going to do with it? What you're going to do with the 3 million? What's the first thing you're going to do? What's the second thing you're going to do? What's the third thing you're going to do? I want you to think like that when you go to bed and do this every night. Because sooner than later, the idea that you are revering means that this is the idea that you keep running in your mind every night. It's going to come to you that you're going to have $3 million. And you're going to decide what to do. You already decided what to do with it. Maybe you take a portion of that money and maybe you buy a house. Maybe with a portion of the money you put in an investment. And maybe another portion you do something else with it. Whatever it is that you do, you decide for yourself. And that's what I want you to spend your, last waking moments. The last thing you should do before you go to bed is give thanks to God for 3 things. 3 things that happened today. Maybe the food you ate, give thanks to God. The clothes you wear, give thanks to God. The health that you have, give thanks to God. Do that every night and then go and do your counting. Count your money. Count your $3 million. And maybe for some of you, you might count more than 3 million. And then that's what you're going to get. It's going to happen in 2024. Because 2024 is a year of blessing. It's going to happen for you if you follow through with it. So I highly, highly encourage you to do that every night. And when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is you go to your bathroom and you have a cold shower. Even if it means only 2 minutes under the shower and you can't last longer than that because, you're afraid of cold or something. Don't be afraid of cold. It will never happen to you if you're not afraid. Just go have a cold shower. And you are then primed for 16 hours. For 16 hours, any thoughts that you have will have a huge impact on your life. But make sure that your thoughts for the day are positive and good and healthy because they are going to come to pass. Don't think about bad illnesses. Don't think about negativities. Yeah, negativities will come and just remove them because you are not the thought. But during the day, maybe you spend some time affirmations Maybe you spend 10 minutes, maybe you spend 15 minutes, maybe you spend an hour doing affirmations, robotic affirmations, and that will sink into your head. It will sink in because your nervous system, by that shower, the cold shower you had, has been reset. Now you can program it. And it will give you exactly what you program it for, just as a computer does. Your brain is a computer. It is much more powerful than the computers that even IBM, mainframes that IBM has. It's more powerful than that. And your brain has the potential to connect anywhere in the world through its, electricity, through its waves, through its, the magic that God has planted in there. It can connect anywhere in the world. And it can bring your desire the fastest way possible. And only God knows which route to take. We don't. We just feed it. And we expect the desire to materialize into our world. You're in a matrix. You are in a matrix. The matrix will only produce what you internalize. Your subconscious is a printer. Whatever you feed your subconscious, it will print without any, discrepancy. It's not going to have, without any favoritism. I'm trying to look at the word favoritism. Without any favoritism, your subconscious will print it. It's a printer. It doesn't sleep. It's awake all the time. You might sleep at night, but it doesn't. That's your female part, subconscious. Conscious is male, subconscious is female. That's where your creation is going to happen. Third eye. Third eye as well is a creation part of your brain. Anything that you want, emphasize it on your third eye. If you want to fine-tune your third eye, look at the sun in the morning. If you live in a hot country, sunny country, go outside and face the sun with your forehead for about 4 to 5 minutes every day. That will open up your third eye. Then when you imagine, you bring your imagination on your third eye. And you imagine seeing it in your third eye when you close your eyes. And it will come faster. If you don't live in a hot country, if you're in a cold country, then what you do is you get turmeric powder. You maybe get a quarter spoon, small one. You make a paste. You place it all on your forehead. Maybe not in the morning, maybe in the evening, when you're home, when you come back from your work. You place it on your forehead and let it dry. And after about 15 minutes, just wash that area off. That can also activate your third eye. Either the turmeric or other way, as I told you, is the sun. And there is another way. The other way that I have tried, and that also works, is have the oil frankincense. If you have the frankincense oil, you take some and you rub it on your third eye, between your on your forehead, between your eyebrows. In that area, rub the small, one drop of frankincense every day. By the way, frankincense is very powerful. That can also activate your third eye. So any of these ideas that I've given you, go with it. And God will bless you tremendously. If you follow, do the things that I've taught you, then you'll be blessed tremendously, and your families will also be blessed. So with that, I'm going to say thank you for listening. Have a wonderful, wonderful Sabbath and the rest of the week. Until next time, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.